Thanks for the opportunity to present Korea traditional archery through this online Zoom meeting. I'll introduce a little bit about Korean traditional archery things, not many things. But before I start, I have to do this special thanks. Special thanks to Dr. Thomas Duvernay. Actually, I never met him in person, but his book helped me a lot. And then I adopted many terminologies and some phrases from his The Way of the Bow. And thanks to some of my friends and archer, Dr. Kim Jong-un, she showed her passion as a model of my photo. And my teacher in Seongguk, he gave me some materials, and also my master advisor, Shin Dong-sul, also as a model for my presentation. And Jongno Foundation for Arts and Culture gave me some photos. Thanks, everybody. As I already announced, as a kind of a motivation, this short description is needed. In 1899, the visiting Prince Heinrich of Prussia expressed his astonishment, the Emperor Gojong, at the traditional archery demonstration. The prince, actually, excuse me, how can I turn off these video clips, the participants' video? Can I do it or no? Steve?
We've got everybody turned off that can be turned off.
Okay. The Prince Heinrich, hailing from militarized Prussian culture, sought out demonstrations of Korean martial arts, and archery was the most impressive among the arts demonstrated. He was familiar with Turkish and Hungarian archery of Europe, which were similar to Korean archery. Prince Heinrich suggested making the art into a national sport. The emperor, convinced by the prince, decreed, let people enjoy archery to develop their physical strength, and established an archery club. In the subsequent standardization of Korean archery, the nature of the bow and the arrow was standardized. As was the range of the targets, Korean traditional archery now uses one specific type of composite bow, bamboo arrows, and a standard target at a standard distance of about 145 meters. Korean archery as a sport developed under the Japanese occupation. Its textbook, 조선의 공술, being published in 1920. These pictures are very interesting. Former presidents interested in traditional archery. The first picture in the left-hand side of me is the President 이승만 attends 1958 화학정's competition. And second picture is former President Park Chung-hee also practiced archery in 방학정 1965. And Chon Do-han 1981 at the 현충사, and also former President 노태우 also at 현충사 1989. Yesterday, there was a very good news about the archery, as a title of 활쏘기 will be designated by the state. So as a national intangible cultural heritage. So cultural heritage administration announced 활쏘기 as a national intangible cultural heritage. This is a scene of one of the events in Hwangakjeong, 2016, when the former ambassador to Korea from Belgium practiced Korean archery in Hwangakjeong. Coincidentally, we had an event. He appeared as a main guest. Many people know about Hwangakjeong, but let me introduce a little bit about Hwangakjeong. Steve, can you please put on the first video clip? Steve?
Okay.
Yes, first one.
Okay. Here we go.
지금도 수많은 군사들이 찾는 쉘터 황학정은 대한제국 때 고종의 어명으로 만들어진 곳이었어요. 활쏘기를 장려했던 고종 황제는 경희궁 안에 황학정을 만들고 활쏘기를 연습했을 정도로 그 꿈을 매우 사랑했습니다. 그런데 일제강점기에 일본이 전국 쉘터를 불태우기 위해 큰 탄압을 시작했습니다. 경희궁을 허물 때도 국궁의 명맥을 유지하기 위해 고종은 황학정을 지금의 위치로 옮기도록 했습니다.
This video clip, okay, this video clip showed when the Emperor Gojong encouraged the people who practice archery. The former Hwangakjeong pavilion used to be in Gyeonggi-gung, but during the Japanese occupation time, it was on the verge of demolition, and Emperor Gojong allowed to move to present location. So it was relocated as a part of heritage of Seoul, still remained. And Hwangakjeong has 120 years history. Can you please put the second video? Steve? Steve, can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Give me a second. I'm trying to find my way here. Apologize.
This is second video, please. Yes. This is the scene of former President Lee Seung-man visit Hwangakjeong.
한국 일보사가 수칭하는 민족무예의 최근 제2회 활쏘기 대회가 4월 18일 인왕산 기슭에서 500여 명의 군사와 수많은 시민이 참관하는 가운데 개최되었습니다. 4월 19일 이 대통령께서는 부인을 동반하시고 관중들의 환영을 받으시면서 황학정에 나오시어 이 활쏘기 대회를 관람하셨습니다. 대통령께서는 이날 시종 웃음을 띄우시어 박수를 보내시고 우수한 성적을 거둔 군사들을 치하하시며 그들을 격려하셨습니다. 그리고 대통령께서는 남산공원으로 발길을 옮기시어 봄빛이 가득 찬 공원을 가벼운 걸음으로 산책하셨습니다.
Okay. Can I? Okay. So let me start about the equipment. Okay. Unlike Olympic archery, in the Korean traditional archery cannot attach any aiming and firing equipment. There are several important equipment and accessories. First one is hwal. Hwal is Korean terminology for bow. There are basically two types of bows. The Gahkji is horn bow, traditional composite horn bow with natural material. So modernized carbon bow, the shape is traditional bow, but with the modern material. 화살, arrows, also two types of arrows are used nowadays. 죽시 means bamboo arrows, and carbon arrow.
Dr. Cho, excuse me.
Yeah,
Are you,
can you hear?
we can hear you. We can't see your PowerPoint if you have one at this time. So it looks like he's heating it. Is that correct?
Yes, the heater must be needed.
Okay.
Later, you will see the 7 different materials. Why this bow needs a heat, you will see. It is prepared. Then, should I put the second video here, or can you see the second one? Is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. After brace the horn bow, the bow is tied with a bow cover to protect its and third one, how to untie before we use. Then now we are preparing to use the bow. Okay. Then you can see here horn bow with bamboo arrows. Normally we practice 5 arrows in a time. So you can compare the braced bow and tied with bow cover. And here shows how to make bowstring loops. you might remember at the end of the bowstring, there's the bowstring loops. It is made like this. And Juxi, it is bamboo arrows. There is a very nice video clip, but it is too long, so I don't show you this video clip how to make bamboo arrows, but later I'll give you the information of the connection. Everybody can see it by themselves. And how to make composite home bow. There are 7 different materials. As you can see here, number 1 is water buffalo horn, and number 2 is bamboo wood, number 3 is mulberry wood, number 4 is oak wood. These 3 woods and water buffalo horn stick together by crocker air bladder glue. This PC glue glued several times and stick it together. And they put cow tendon also, and at the end covered birch bark. It's a kind of a decoration and protect from the water. Here you can see some special connecting parts. We call this connecting part 삼삼이. The international terminology for this 삼삼이 is 시야. So the V cut and V point meet together, stick together, glued by the crocker air bladder. And this is Gahkji thumb ring. The upper 3 pictures are from the National Folklore Museum. It's one of the heritage, but lower part is the commercial one. It's all horn. Korean archery used the thumb ring. And one of the important equipment is arrow case, quiver. This picture is from the National Folk Museum of Korea. So bows and arrows, it's a traditional one. And making bows and arrows, you can find also YouTube digital archive. So Boyer and Fletcher. So also there are some intangible heritages in Korea, so-called 공장. 공장 is Boyer, bow maker. 궁시장 is Fletcher, arrow maker. 전통장 is a quiver maker. The techniques of practicing archery is 활쏘기. As I already mentioned earlier, yesterday was announced 활쏘기 as a state designated heritage. So after 1 month, government will decide whether it listed in the heritage or not. So-called practicing Korean traditional archery is Korean terminology 활쏘기. And 편사놀이 is a kind of a competition. Normally the east and west region or north and south region compete together. So 편사 means each side. So the competition with both sides or several sides. Also, there are some state designated heritage related to this archery things. The first picture shows horn bow, which was used by Emperor Gojong. They say it was used by Emperor Gojong. It's national folklore cultural heritage. And second picture shows national intangible cultural heritage. Number 47, 궁시장. Literally means bow and arrow making, but he is arrow making. 궁시장 is an arrow maker, the fletcher so-called. And also same category, 전통장, this quiver maker. Both are highest level of cultural heritage in Korea. This picture is very famous genre painting from Joseon dynasty. Danwon Kim Hongdo, he was a full-time painter of Joseon period of Korea. And he left a lot of different categories. One of his famous categories are genre paintings. This 활쏘기, the title of this painting is 활쏘기. This 활쏘기 is quite famous. He shows every moment of practicing 활쏘기. The left-hand side, the teacher adjusts the posture, but this one is quite interesting. The upper part is the normal archer, not the left hand, but lower part, his stance shows the left hand. So no one knows why he drew like this one. And second upper part picture is to check the arrows, whether it's straight or not. And lower one, you might remember how to brace the bow. So in one paintings showed three important moments of the practicing archery. And now let me introduce major precepts and principles of Korean traditional archery. But some phrases are derived from the Chinese philosophy. So based on the works of Mengshiu's book, Part 1, In-Souk Cho, they say the man who would be benevolent is like an archer. The archer adjusts himself and then shoots. If he misses, he does not murmur against those who surpass himself. He simply turns round and seeks the cause of his failure in himself. With this phrase, I may started to learn archery. So in Korean traditional archery, there are 9 precepts. So in German interpretation is done by Tatiana Lee. She is now online. The first one is 인내덕행. That means love others and grow in virtues. Second one is 성실겸손. Be sincere and humble. Third one, 자중절조. Be cautious and preserve integrity. Fourth, 예의 엄수. Observe good manners. Fifth, 염직 과감. Be honest and bold. 습사무원. Keep silence while shooting. 정심정기. Holding mind and body upright. 불원승자. Don't blame winner for the lost competition. This one was from the former Mengshius. 막만타공. Never draw others' bow. So these 9 precepts is the kind of important things for the mind. before we practice archery. The next one is 8 principles of Korean traditional archery. That is on the archery range. Little bit about the posture or the techniques. All those things are expressed here. The first one is 선찰지형, to observe the topographical situations carefully, and 후간풍세, then the force and directions of the wind. So 비정비팔, 흉어복실, to make the firm stance and concentrate your breath while the chest is relaxed. 전추태산, 반려호미, to push the JoomSohn. JoomSohn is the pushing hand as you push the mountain, and to pull the Gahkji. Gahkji is the pulling hand as you pull the tiger's tail. 발이부중이면 반구적이. Look into your own mistakes if you fail to it. It is from this former Mencius. So 8 principles shows how to practice. 9 precepts shows how we have to keep it in our mind before we practice archery. Then in Korean archery, so basic etiquette at the archery range. When one first arrives at the Jong is the archery hall, before shooting line, one will stand in front of the sign with the Chinese character 정간. Then one will give a slight bow to pay homage to 정간. 정간, some people say 정간 is some important place, but as an architect, I think 정간 means the middle bay of the building. So in the center, most of the archery hall have this script in a wooden panel or something. But unlike other archery range, 황학정, in 황학정 only, there's no 정간 at all. Instead of 정간, we have portrait of Emperor Gojong. So members, when you arrive at the Jong, then we pay homage to the portrait of Emperor Gojong. So this is, we call 정간 배례. 정간 배례 is kind of a pay homage to somebody or something. So normally when you arrive at the archery hall, the first thing we have to do is slide bow. The second important etiquette is 초실에. 초시 means the first arrow. 초실에. Before releasing the first, every day we attend to practice, then we start some kind of a word. So before releasing the first arrow of the day, one will say 활 배웁니다. 활 배웁니다, which means I am learning the bow. Other archers would reply, 많이 맞추세요. That means have many hits. So it's another important etiquette. And every day, one of the important things is standing position. When looking at the target from the releasing point or shooting point, the left side is the higher spot. Stands from left to right in order of age or practicing experience. There may be cases where Sado is the head of the club, stands in front. So when I started to learn the archery, though I'm not a young one, but before I became the molgi, became the 접장, then I have to stand behind. It's very lower stand. But once we reach the molgi is the kind of a full hit at the first hit. Then we can find the proper position. Now let me introduce some of the art of Korean traditional archery. So here I'll show you 10 different things: the body position or feet position, or bow hand and string hand, and the full draw and release or residual posture. First one, this one is the entire body position, standing position. These pictures from the history of archery, the recorded book. So when we attend the archery range, the left-hand picture is the basic stance, and the right-hand picture is we call 만개궁채. That means at full draw position. The former one is 등장궁채, form stance position. So nowadays, it's entire body position. So the correct stance, that means form stance, the weight of your entire body should be evenly divided between the forward and backwards feet. This feet position, 비정비팔, means the standing position when shooting should neither be a 정 is fourth heavenly stem in Chinese character, nor be a 팔. 팔 is 8 in Chinese character. So forward feet neither 정, backward feet neither 8. So you can see here how we have to stand, how we do the correct stance. And bow hand, JoomSohn, how to hold the bow. Grasp the bow as you would grasp an egg. Grip the bow firmly, but not tightly. The middle ring and little finger are held together around the bow grip. We call this middle ring and little finger 하삼지, the lower three fingers. The index finger is a little higher and crooked downward. The thumb is held near the top of the grip and is crooked in a little. There should be no gap between the thumb and index. This shows a little gap, but actually there should be no gap between the thumb and index. So this bow handle we call 줌통. Next is a string hand. It's a Gahkji 손. So how to insert the Oh Neui. Oh Neui is a Nock. How to draw the bow string properly. Pay attention to the direction of the Geet. Geet is the fletching. Oh Neui is always able to fit in the same location. The location where the Gahkji is a thumb ring, are hung should always be constant. Here you can see how we do the Gahkji 손 and JoomSohn together. My friend Dr. Kim Jong-un helped me a lot. She has the same name of the head of the North Korea, Kim Jong-un. So we were, last year we were in Bhutan, this international world championship, and she got the medal and I've got the medal too. So lift the bow. When you lift the bow, raise the bow hand higher than the face position and make the jar feel in the center of the both arms. So also you can find the how to lift, how to raise the bow and arrow. Now it's ready to draw. Raise your bow, raise your bow hand to the height of your forehead, straightening out your bow arm's elbow. Your eyes should steadily gaze at the target, at the same height as the lower bow nock. Your jaw should be close to your bow shoulder armpit. Now pushing and pulling. This is a very important moment. The bow hand and the string hand. How to draw the bow string properly. Draw the string properly, then give power to the bow hand. At full draw, we call it Mahnahk. Mahnahk is the full draw. You should choose an arrow that is the right length for your arm. The body stands straight, the forehead faces the target, and the chest is wide open. The string hand should be parallel with the arrow. Mahnahk is not a standing posture, but must be a continuum of endless push and pull motions. So there's another, it's my master, Mr. Shin Dong-sul. It's the hand with which you hold the bow should be like pushing a high mountain. The string hand should be like pulling a tiger's tail. It's very famous saying. That means the balance. The bow should be pushed using the ball of the palm of the hand, with power being shared equally with the arm holding the bow from wrist to shoulder. This is the proper posture of at full draw. We call it Mahnahk. Then aiming at the target. Since there is no separate device to aim at the target, all archers have their own way to aim the target. Although it is not possible to standardize and describe the aim, the target, the following three are mainly used. The view with a hand, or view with arrow shaft, or view by arrow point. So this Korean archery, the target size is 2 meter by 2.67 meter. Now release the arrow. Release quickly as possible. When we release the arrow, release quickly as possible. The word quick means never hesitating or delaying. At full draw, the bow is pulled and pulled like it tears. When released, do not delay. Make sure that JoomSohn doesn't know that release of the Gahkji sohn. It's our saying like this. Even after release of arrows, the posture of the JoomSohn and Gahkji sohn should be maintained correctly. So we call it 자신, residual posture. The archery competition. The archery competition is divided into team and individual event. At some competitions, only dan holders are allowed. At others, the competition is open to all. The competitions are further divided between city, province, and jong matches. in the games, in the competition, in Korea, target distance is 145 meter. And Kwanyeok, as I already showed you, 2 meter by 2.67 meter. So the score point, when the arrow hit the target, then 1 point. A Korean traditional archery has a ranking system. In the traditional archery, the official ranking system is like other martial arts, like Taekwondo, but also Dan level system is used. At special ranking competitions, archers try to advance in rank. The first Dan level is reached when you hit the target 24 out of 45 tries. Actually, this was the 27. It started the so-called 60% hit the target, but nowadays it is very difficult. So they made it easier. So 3 points lower than the former Dan level. The first Dan is few years ago, 27 out of 45, but now recently changed it, the 24 out of 45 arrows, then it can become the first Dan. The next level, from second through ninth, the 28, 29, 30, only one and another one. So 39 of 45 arrows, maybe it's 9 Dan. 9 Dan is the highest one. So this level is from 9 gup to 9 Dan. 9 gup to 1 gup is examined by each archery club. But from the first Dan to third Dan, it is examined by city or Do Archery Association. But from the fourth Dan till the ninth Dan, examined by the Korea National Archery Association. So when an archer there are some other regulations. Only 2 level advancements are allowed per year. Rank is signified by 무궁화, the rose of Sharon flowers, embroidered on the archer's bow cover. When an archer reaches 5th Dan, another milestone is reached. This level is known as 명궁. 명궁 is a celebrity, famous name archer. Literally meaning is famous name archer, but he or she became the celebrity in archery. At this level, the archer will be given another ceremony and the archer's name will be registered nationally. It's a great honor. So actually, I thought it is a lot to talk about, but because of the time limits, I just introduce very little things about the traditional Korean archery. So this one is the references I used for my presentation material. The first one is formerly mentioned 조선의 궁술. It shows a lot of traditions. And the former professor at the military academy, Kim Gi-hun, he wrote the archery tradition of Korea. It's in English, but it's more about the history and all the details. And Stefan Selby, Perfecting the Mind and Body, and Stefan Selby, The Archery Tradition of China. It belonged to Thomas Duvernay's book, The Way of Bow, which I mostly adopted the terminology. And Thomas Duvernay and Nicholas Duvernay, Korean Traditional Archery. And I would like to introduce some YouTube records, how the Korean horn composite bow is made. It is with English subtitles, so everybody can see it. And Korean bamboo arrow, Korean Fletcher Yu also with English subtitles. Then how a bow is made. This experience the Korean spirit, bow making and basic equipment. Also, this is English subtitle or something in English. And experience the Korean spirit, bow making and basic equipment. Also, one of the Kim Bagyong, now is no more. And another digital archive thing is bowyers and fletchers. It's from National Intangible Heritage Academy or Academy Digital Archive. So those are, I think, the most basic and important things for the practicing Korean archery. I think this is the perfect time for sharing the question and those things.
I had a question about the different loops that you tie in the bowstring. It looked on your chart that there were a dozen or so different kinds of loops.
Wood or what?
On the bowstring.
Bowstring, yes.
On the bowstring. You had several kinds of loops.
Loop, yes, yes.
Yeah. What is the purpose of the different kinds of loops?
This not only one string, but at the end they need a loop.
Yes.
You mean the string loop? Yes.
Right.
For the Gahkji, the composite bow, all this flexibility and elasticity are different because I didn't explain it properly about the materials joining, but because of these different materials and the different parts, if we use one material, it sometimes damages or it is not lasted long. So they use a different end as a loop.
Okay. I see Tatiana.
Is it the right answer, or did I understand your question properly?
Yep, you got the question right. I see Tatiana playing with a bowstring. Tatiana, what are you doing?
She had one. Yeah, that is.
Tatiana is a friend of Dr. Joe's. She's joining us from Germany. She's also an archer.
Tatiana learned the Korean archery in our range. She visited Korea almost once a year.
So, can you hear me? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question. Why do these knots have a special purpose in the string? Does it? Because normal strings, they are made from one material, and yeah, and these knots are placed on a special. They have to be. These loops are not so easy to make. I saw Mr. Shin make it in a Mahnahk, and to fit the knot, to make the knot on the right place. So. Is really hard and affords a lot of experience, I think, to make it, because it has to be on a special part of the bow. I can take a bow and show where it has to be placed, but yeah, is there something special about the knots in Sook?
Okay, I've got a question here from Rebecca. She says, traditionally, did both women and men practice archery? If so, did they practice together? What were the differences between women and men? It's kind of a multiple question there.
Wow.
Okay, so traditionally, did both women and men practice archery?
Yes. But in the traditional way, actually, higher ranking officer is mandatory. They should learn how to do the archery. And then some women, the two different groups, maybe some of the participants have seen the Korean drama, the historic drama. There shows the ladies in the family sometimes practice archery. It's a kind of a present day's golf. It's a very high-ranking people do it. And the other group of women, it's a entertainer groups. So men and women in older days don't practice together, but recently in the modern days practice together. As you saw the video clip when the former President Lee Seung-man attends the Hwang the woman archer won the competition. It's a present day, but traditionally in Joseon dynasty, women or the men practice, but don't practice together. It's a different category.
Okay. John Dunbar has the next question. John, can you send that along to us?
John? So, yes, I saw it. I read it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So, John is asking, I find it difficult to understand some of the aspects of this because of familiarity with Western archery. What are some common injuries suffered in Korean archery? For example, injury to the tendons of the bow arm, or perhaps the ear or the nose.
All those kind of things arise from the not right stance or not right position, or if the posture is perfect, those things are not arise. In our archery range, I have seen many people at the beginning. People are trying to practice hard, exceed the tolerance, then damage the somebody damage the shoulder, somebody on the elbow. Many people do it, but once there is a terminology for this kind of arrow disease or the bow disease. So literally meaning 활병, the bow disease. So some people have this disease from the fear. Some people have disease because they practice too much or practice in the wrong way or not correct way. In the case, they can get hurt. But if we practice properly and not too much hard, it's all right.
Okay, great. I've got a question from Dane.
Dane, yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. How do I pronounce it? Dane or Dane?
Damn, yes. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your presentation. In-Souk Cho.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. You know, I'm learning a lot from you. And first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Dam, and I'm, you know, in Yonsei University. So yeah, I'm really interested in your lecture. So the first question I would like to ask you is, do you have any kind of training center in Korea about the archery?
Yes.
This is my first question.
In Korea, all over countries, almost 380 different archery clubs. In Seoul, there are 8 clubs. The nearest one from Yonsei University is Hwanghakkjeong, in our archery range. There is a direct bus, only 2 stops. So near Inwangsan, it's on the slope of Inwangsan, there is an archery range. There is a regular course. When I started to learn, I'm still the beginner. Actually, I learned a little bit about more than 10 years, but there are many people from Yonsei. So its nearest one is Hwanghakkjeong. So there is a regular course. You can register it and learn it.
Okay, thank you. So does the next question is, does Korea have any kind of national team of archery in order to compete internationally, or you just practice for culture, something like that?
Normally, we just practice for our body and mind, but we have this traditional Korean archery is not the Olympic Games. Olympic archery is a different one, but we have a team. So every province or city has their own professional team. Even the city of Seoul has a professional team of traditional archery. So in the international level, last year I attended international archery tournament in Bhutan. Bhutan is archery is a national sport. Everybody practice archery, but a little bit different from Korean archery. But we met a lot of international competitor. But last year we attended just as a personal base. It was fun, and then I learned a lot from other archers. So I found Hungary and Turkey and other countries are very strong in the archery in an international level. Yeah. And
thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining this event.